Hey everybody, and welcome back to a 4-Minute Faith Press. Just like coffee soaks water in the grounds of coffee to make a bold cup, it is the same with our lives. As we soak in the grounds of God's presence, we become emboldened to be kingdom bearers in this world. And so, for the next few weeks, we're going to talk about words. Words matter. I know words aren't everything, but they matter. If you have kids, you probably know that when they said their first word, it mattered. Why? Because words develop relational intimacy. With them, we can go deeper and communicate more and understand better. So, we're going to look at a few Hebrew words over the next few weeks, one every week, and then apply it to a verse as a way to encourage you throughout your day today. So let me start with this question. Can you guess how many words are in the English language? There are around 200,000 words in the English language. They say that the average human in America knows about 30,000 of them. That's still a lot of words. Can you guess how many words there are in the Hebrew language that the Israelites would have had access to? 8,000. Okay, so 200,000, 8,000. That's a really wide gap. That gap is bigger than the score of this year's Super Bowl. I mean, that is a massive gap between the access to words that we have in the English language and the access to words that the Hebrews had, the Israelites had, in the ancient Hebrew language. So, what does that mean? It means this: the English language is very, very precise. We have so many words to say very narrow meanings to life. Hebrew, a word can have multiple meanings. So you gotta check the context. You gotta understand what a word is saying in context to really know more about what the precise, accurate sort of meaning of that word is. Or sometimes the text uses a word and it means multiple things at the same time, depending where you are on your journey of faith. Think about the Hebrew language and the English language like this. English words are like a fine brush, right? It's like realism, if you know Caravaggio or Michelangelo, taking very small strokes to create something very precise. The Hebrew language is more like impressionism. Think Claude Monet. Broad brushes, right? And it creates a beautiful image, but it's more poetic and it leaves room for interpretation. That's more of the Hebrew way of thinking. So let's apply this. Let's look at a Hebrew word this morning in a verse. Remember in Proverbs 9:10, where it says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Now, if you're like me, you know that that verse has caused a lot of mischief for people of what does that really mean? And are we supposed to be afraid of God and cower and run away from this God? Should we cringe and dread? Why is there so much fear in the Bible? We know that we probably have neighbors or coworkers that have asked these questions for us before. You know, is this a God that's just waiting for us to mess up so this God can punish us? Well, no doubt that judgment is a real thing, and we should fear that to a large extent. But that's not what this word Yirah for fear means often in the Hebrew language. Yirah. Yirah is the word for fear that we find in Proverbs 9:10, and that we find a lot in the Hebrew scriptures in the Old Testament. And remember, wide meanings for Hebrew. Yirah can mean a lot of things. It can mean cower and fear, but it can also mean worship. It can mean awe. It can mean respect. It can mean reverence. So listen to this. If you were to insert awe or worship into Proverbs 9:10, the worship of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. How beautiful is that, right? Or you might say, the awe of the Lord, to revere the Lord, is the beginning of wisdom. That this verse doesn't mean to tremble at an angry God who could crush you in any moment. It means to be in awe of, that if we want to be wise, if we want to make good decisions, if we want to live well, it begins with worship. It begins with a life submitted to God. So here's the question. Are you running toward God today? Have you carved out space, or will you carve out space to just sit in God's presence and to be in awe of who God is? Take a walk today in creation. Go outside. See the beauty of what God has made and move toward awe, so where you can move toward worship, because that's the beginning of a life that is wise. Hey, if you're interested in this stuff, you can look up Lois Tverberg, Tverberg. She is an amazing author. If you love Hebrew language and you're digging the idea of getting into context, she puts things really accessibly. So that's just a resource for you if it's helpful. And feel free to email me if I can serve you in any way. My longing is to see you grow in your faith, and even in the midst of this pandemic moment, for you to feel alive in Christ. So grace and peace to you, and I hope you're well. Peace.